Being a high school math teacher, there's not a lot of independent reading in my class, but I encourage independent reading with a multitude of students ranging from 9th to 12th grade in little book groups that I have joined. A lot of the kids don't realize that I like reading sci-fi and fantasy and adventure. I also like reading a lot of girly vampire love story books. And so throughout the year, I have different books that I'm reading with different people. It can be one other person, it can be three other people. We meet, we talk about it, and then we refer to other people. A lot of people are very surprised how much teen reading I do because I am a math teacher. But it's a wonderful way to connect with the students.
How do I use and encourage independent reading? In English, I try and have my students independently read daily. This is very important for the students because in many cases my students don't have opportunities to go home, read quietly, have a nice place to read at home. So sometimes for my kids, the only quiet, devoted time to reading they get during a day is in my classroom. So I really try and devote 20 to 30 minutes a day to independent reading. That can look a lot of different ways. We can have the whole group reading at one time. We can have an independent reading station where other students perhaps are working with me or working on the computers and kind of do a rotation system. But it's tremendously important for the students to have that time to read independently. It also is important to have that accountability piece so I can check up on their reading, making sure that they're reading appropriate genre that pushes them, content that might challenge them in some way. So by checking in on their reading weekly, I can make sure that they don't just read the same novels over and over again or the same kind of genre over and over again. So I really try and create this atmosphere that reading is important, especially independent reading, and I want to make sure that they're reading books that they actually can read and that they're not frustrated with. The other thing that I do to encourage this is I have a group of students who want to challenge themselves, and so I recommend more of the classic books, and so they have a chance to read some of the classics in more of a book club setting. So they'll read independently, perhaps during class, and I will also give them some time during class to meet in a small book club literature circle to discuss some of the books that are more on the classics list. Shakespeare, The Great Gatsby, To Kill a Mockingbird were some of the ones that my ninth graders read this year. So giving the opportunities for all students to push themselves with their reading, I can do in a variety of different ways.
In my biology class, independent reading is incredibly important. I provide students with a variety of articles that have applications of science outside the classroom, and students have the choice to read which article sounds most interesting to them. After they read it, they provide a summary of the article and relate it to vocabulary we've been learning in class.
As an art teacher, I am constantly looking for ways to add literacy into my classroom. One way I've found to do this through independent reading is through artist research. So after introducing an artist from history, I have the students work independently to do more research on their own. Having access to technology and a fully stocked library of art books is one way to ensure that students have the tools they need to succeed.
My name is Joanna Schaefer, and I teach 10th grade world history. In my class, I like to promote independent reading by having weekly assignments. They're called Higher Order Thinking, or HOTS, and I would assign an article, current, online, that the students can read either in class or at home or anytime during the day because they can access it from the internet. I might also assign an Empower article that has to deal with something that we're doing. Once again, they can read that in class. Sometimes we have stations, or at home, or whenever they can access it. And then that week, that Friday, we'll have a discussion question where they can talk about it, answer text-dependent questions, and then respond to their peers. Not all the time can I send home a textbook, so this is another way that my students can get historical context through reading independently.
My name is Javier Vaca, and I teach U.S. History, 11th grade, and I promote independent reading in my class through the honors assignment. Through this assignment, students have to present their findings on a time period in U.S. history or a famous person in U.S. history, and I encourage them to do extra research and seek out extra resources. And during this process, students are independently reading outside of class, after school, or at home to bring different knowledge or resources to their honors presentation.